Good afternoon, all. This is Dr. Nona James, your instructor with CONR 606 Communication Theory, and we are forging into week 4. I want to just hit some housekeeping for the class, just kind of some newsworthy information, logistical communication here. And this video will be in 2 parts. This is part 1, and it will be listed as such, on your on the announcement. And then you'll have part 2, which goes in the details for the assignment this week. So for this, I just wanted to touch base with you and discuss some concerns that not only concerns that Dr. Sullivan and I have seen with writing, communication, efforts that students have made in relation to trying to get their work done. There's been interruptions, and then there's been questions from the students yourselves as to perhaps the irregularities in relation to, well, we see this here, but then the instructions are telling us to do this. So I want to take just a few minutes of your time and I have some notes here I keep looking at that will hopefully clarify some of those things and encourage you as you go forward. I can't stress enough, again, you all are going to be tired of me saying this, but how important it is to get your assignments in timely into the Canvas. And I realize that your instructions say submit before 11:59, which is Central Standard Time. Some students have communicated that, Dr. James, I put it in a minute before. I had 2 minutes before, and it said I was late. That is way too late to submit an assignment, be it this class, any class, or even other systems that you may participate on when you're having academic submissions or anything for that matter. My encouragement to you is not to wait that late at all. Here's the deal with that. I know, granted, we're supposed to have an atomic clock. It's supposed to, and I've even seen some that you get a new clock and it immediately, when you turn it on, it syncs itself to the atomic clock and in relation to time. But I have watched I'm a news buff. I have watched perhaps a media show that has a clock, the news, especially in the morning, and it will have on that clock, and it's an Eastern Standard show, or it's showing Eastern Standard Time, Mountain Time, Central Time, Pacific Time, and it's 2 minutes ahead of mine or behind mine, and then my watch or clock, and I have an atomic alarm clock, it's showing 2 minutes behind. So the point I'm trying to make is be us all around the world, different ones of you all. We're all from prospective parts of the country or internationally. And those clocks can be off by a fraction. So I'm just impressing upon you, hopefully, the fact that be it 1 minute, a half minute, and trying to chase the clock, number one, assignment should be finished, and it really should be a cleanup really earlier in the evening, just kind of dusting off and massaging your papers. But I'm going to recommend no later than 11:45. I know it's up to you, but no later than 11:45 to start loading that. That gives you plenty time if there's an issue, even 11:30. And this has happened to me as a student in the past. I was in a major panic. I had a major qualifying exam, 3 days, and one of the major requirements was getting in. I wasn't even last minute. I had about an hour, but I got to tell you, it was the most stressful thing because it was an exam that was either you make it or you break it, and I was out of the run for what I was qualifying for. Fortunately, I had enough time built in that I was able to get in touch with the necessary departments. It was a in-school system glitch with the system, but I had enough time that I still met the deadline. So I appreciate some of you all saying this is what's happened, why I'm going to be delayed, or this happened with my paper, or the dog went one way with my cell phone, and or the just whatever has happened. The bear took my cell phone. Just don't wait till the last minute. It's just not good time management practice. And part of that, the second part is you all in this class. Number one, I got to commend. This is probably the best class that I have had an opportunity to um, teach. That the writing level, it has been quite well, and exceptional writers. One of the things I'm working on with Dr. Sullivan, the two of us with you all, is being able to articulate what it is. Don't just tell us what you read, but being able to synthesize and contextualize what is it that the information is telling you. So if we can get you past that, I think you all will be doing well. But beside that, even so, there are some good writers in this class, and some of you all that are making these submissions that are late, and the system is deducting you by 10-20%, because it's a 10% deduction, I think 5 or 10% deduction every day. You're losing points on that. You're losing points that are valuable. People that are sitting on a low B and you end up getting a C, people with a C, and anything C and below is failing. But you're on that fine line, or let's just say even you. I know some students, hey, I want an A. Well, we just don't give out A's. You have to earn it, and we have our philosophy on that. But you may be between an A and a B, and because you're late for your papers, you're not getting the A. And if you're sitting on a low B, you end up having to potential of having to repeat this class if you continue like that. So I'm just saying that, there has been some really good papers, and it just pains me that students are sitting on a 95, 90%, and then because of the lack of, timeliness, it's deducing your grade. So just be timely of that. The other is plagiarism. I will be putting up, there's a couple of things, and I think I mentioned it. There's also a part 2 of this, by the way, which is going to be the mechanics of the assignments for this week. But plagiarism, and I'm going to be sending a link with the policy of plagiarism. Reminder, it is a violation of the copyright laws of the United States to copy individuals or not give credit to the original author of work. And it comes with substantial penalties. And as far as the university, the potential of being dismissed from the program as well as university. So the penalties can be very steep and serious for that. Because of concerns that, and ensuring everyone in a from general terms, university, I am asking that you will see an assignment. It will have a link with the policy and a statement on plagiarism. I will need each of you, please, to just simply, when you read that announcement, put a reply in and just say, read it or got it, and sign your name. Just got it, and then Jane Doe or whoever. And if you do that, I appreciate it. The other regarding assignments is you'll be engaging, I know this week, with not only your groups that you're assigned to, but you're going to be interfacing with 2 other groups on work that's being published in the discussion activities. So there's going to be dates that things are due. This is getting back to assignments and timeliness. There's a statement on and information on what to do with multiple assignments that have multiple due dates. And that's because, again, you have step 1, you get that, step 2, but please look at that statement and do the same thing. Got it? Whatever, kudos, and then sign your name to it. And it's just to ensure everybody has got the word on that. and keeping us all honest brokers. So those are two of the things that I wanted to share with you. As far as emergent, here's also, let me backtrack on this timeliness. I know some folks, well, Dr. James, Dr. Sullivan, this came up. We had, we were across the country and, had issues with the car and, my schoolwork and assignments, books were someplace else and this was here. Can't you really make an exception based on this? It's been very, regrettably, number one, we have to maintain the integrity of the process as well as the compliance of what is for timely assignments and the standards that have been determined fair and equitable for everyone, not only what you produce as far as your assignments and quality, but also in relation to the logistics and timeliness too. So regrettably, not unless, and I'm reiterating this again, it's a catastrophic event, act of God, disaster, by fire. You are in the hospital that literally, cannot conduct any affairs with anybody for that matter. Those are the only times that there can be excuses, death in the family. But, and I'm going to backtrack because I got a reading on this from leadership. I know there was questions as far as what if we're out of state or out of the country, traveling. I will say this, I did explore that, got clarification. If we have military members in the class, and granted, there are some areas that there's considered firewalls with computers, even security, please let me know, and Dr. Fleming, program director, and we'll have to handle that case by case to make a decision. I can't say that we will or can make exceptions on that as far as pre-work, but what is case by case. The other, as far as any travel, I really would love to go with you to Jamaica or that Viking cruise. But when it comes to those kind of concessions, we just cannot do it because if it's not fair to the other students that make those efforts, even without asking, and they're producing and they're timely with their work. Now, you may let us know because there's group work. Dr. James, Dr. Sullivan, I'm not going to be there. I'm with a group. I understand I'm going to miss, but I'll do my best. Do your best. Submit what you can, and that's at least you're getting points on something. But you may have a little bit of an infraction with being the percentage, deduction because of late. But that's the best we can do. So just wanted to make that clarification and make sure that we're all on the same understanding for that. The word count, I think I may articulate this when I go over part 2 with the actual assignments this week. I know one of them says to have at least 300 as far as the word count. If you have any assignments, first off, read the assignments, and it will identify what it is as far as the count. Minimum, it may say 300, 250. Maximum word count, it may say 1,000 words. If you are over 10, 20, 50, 75 words because you just had to get that thought out, I would rather you go over the 10 to 75, being reasonable, to complete your thoughts on something you think is important. You will not be dinged for that. However, if you're less than 250 or what the minimum says, then I'm going to we may have to have a little conversation. Now, let's just say it like that. But, I appreciate the zeal that some of you all have expressed. It's like, Dr. James, we went over, I couldn't get it. I was like, I was 10 over. I appreciate that. And just being mindful, just do your 10. Because it just shows you're caring, and I'm gonna recognize that too. So the other is, I encourage you, because this is a communication class, that you are interfacing with your peers heavily. it's not just coursework, but let this be an opportunity to network and get to know one another. By that I mean, if you have questions about one of the theories, in this case, we're exploring a number of theories, and let's say you have a real major issue like symbolic interactions, and what does that mean? Symbolic interactionism. And so perhaps you want to make an effort to explore on your own as to what is symbolic interaction, then reading the literature, putting it all together, perhaps even inquiring with your group or classmates you become acquainted with. Hey, Dr. Sullivan, I'm trying to understand symbolic interaction. What's your thoughts on that? Help me. There's nothing wrong with that as far as trying to help. And if you still have issues, if you're in section 1, get with Dr. Sullivan if you have questions still and just having issues with trying to understand the context of one of the theories or the depth of it, then get in touch with me if you're in section 2. The reason I share that is at this point, it's a graduate program. There should be that opportunity to independently explore and to try and find things before just and make that effort, because that's probably one of the things that we'll ask is, well, what did you find out about it? What do you think it is? But those are things you can even internally ask yourself. The other is I encourage you to look at something called mind mapping. That's where and I love mind mapping. I learned about it or became acquainted with it at the Air Force Academy, just participating with training opportunities that were there over my career and when I was in manpower. But mind mapping is where you take a center of whatever it is. In this case, the topic is symbolic interaction. And you just put the little pegs out, almost like a spoke on the wheel, and put who, what, when, where, how, and why. And you may not have all of those, like the who. You may for Aristotle's rhetoric. But then you answer questions that come to mind in relation. What is it about symbolic interaction? How is it impacting? What is it in the movie? You can use it for your movie. And mind mapping is wonderful. I mean, you can use it for a lot of things. Planning a trip, getting ready for a party, planning for Christmas, an event, and it's something that I have really embraced and I really like. So if you want to explore that and think it's helpful, go Google it or go to YouTube and just put in mind mapping. And it will help you, again, if you have the leisure. It's not where we want to take from your other work, but I'm just throwing that out as a tool to help you process, especially when you're dealing with a lot of information. And so utilize that as an opportunity there. But the whole gist is the ability to be able to be independent thinkers, and then remembering that each one needs one another. And that's where even Dr. Sullivan and I, if you have questions, or even as a team group, that we are prepared to help you with those. I think I have captured at least the most important things that I wanted you to be aware of. And again, the policy for the multiple policy on assignments with multiple due dates, I need you to concur, or acknowledge, like I said, on a reply on that announcement that you'll see, and the one on plagiarism. And I also would like to have you do that on timeliness too. So if you have any questions, remember we got the queue for questions in the module at the top. And then if you still have compelling concerns or whatnot, feel free to contact Dr. Sullivan or myself. Dr. Sullivan, your team, students assigned to Dr. Sullivan, if you email me, I'm going to just defer you back to her. So please be respectful to at least allow her the opportunity to answer and help you. If you still have concerns, I'm more than happy with me and anything. We'll just work it, but following the necessary respectful chain of opportunity to get help. So I wish everyone a good week. And again, we are cold here in Colorado. It is freezing. We had, let me just close saying this. We had all the seasons in 24 hours in the last couple of days, and a tornado, which we're not excited about. So just keep us in prayer, and that hopefully we can come out of this cold, and that we don't get to miss springtime. So anyway, everyone have a good week, and be thinking about if you want to have a Zoom. Can you just send me an email? Those that are interested, we may want to have a Zoom later this week or first part of next week. So take care. God bless everybody.